Ireland have to beat Hungary on Saturday. You need to, like Gav touched on that there. It's a short campaign. It's condensed. It's a four-team group. The nature of it, obviously, Armenia, ourselves, Hungary, Portugal. Like you're not going to play yourself into this, and listen, I could be wrong. You go and you say it's not, and you win again. That's what they have to do.
Why does this feel like, in the words of Del Boy, why does this feel like deja vu all over again? Are we not having the exact same conversation that we had at the start of the last qualifying campaign when I told you that that realistically wasn't going to happen, and then we're shocked when it doesn't happen?
No, I'm not saying shock. I'm just saying if listen, yeah, you have to have hope at this stage. You have to have hope and
I
at this
don't deal
stage.
in
You can't.
hope. I don't deal in hope.
He deals in XG.
I deal in I deal in XG. I like
Yeah,
that. That's
I
what we
place a
wrote.
lot
Like,
more
that's what we
emphasis
wrote my
on. I place a
gravestone.
lot more emphasis on hope than XG. I'll tell you that. No.
um, uh, I would think par if we're talking in Gav's favorite language, I would have par for the course being down as 4 points from six. I think 6 from 6 would be major enough overachievement, to be honest with you. And anything less than 4 from 6 is underachievement. But if you offer me 4 from 6 now, I'd take it, David. I would think that's pretty good going.
I do need to stress this as well, Shane and Gav. When you say this isn't me saying this is what I expect. I'm just saying if you're asking me, well, what would you, what result will actually give you a bit of confidence that Ireland, and we'll talk about it, will have this newfound maturity, not newfound, but developed maturity because of the nature of what's the development of the team. If you say, well, how do you back that up? It's you win a game like this.
Do
So
you
I'm
not
not saying, but
think?
what I'm saying is, I don't at the moment. That's what I'm hopeful of. I still don't know if, like we said before, what can you expect of this Ireland team? What can you trust in them? Like that, winning a game like this, I think, is laying down a marker, especially in a short-term campaign, Gav, that they can actually go and eh, do something against the odds.
Do you not think a draw? Do you not think a draw at home to a team who are more than 20 places above us in the rankings and who've just come out of Nations League A is a sign of significant progress? No.
Oh, it'd be a sign of progress, but I just think if you go and win the game, well, clearly, obviously, it's obvious statement, but if you go and win the game, it just sets down a far stronger marker, and also belief in what the team could be capable of. And listen, we can go through it in terms of Ireland's record, or when you play one game and you've got another game back to back so soon, and how they in the past have struggled with that kind of with that expectation. And
I don't know.
like,
My bar is a lot lower here. Like if you're saying
Mm.
that I would have 6 points out of 6 as a sign that this man is the feckin' messiah, not that he's showing progress. Like I think 6 points out of 6 would be remarkable going from him. Yeah.
I think 6 out of 6 would be fairly remarkable as well for a number of reasons. A, obviously to beat Hungary at home. I know we beat them in that friendly and ended their long unbeaten run just before the Euros, but the dynamic is obviously different in an end of season friendly, and in their case preparation for tournament friendly, as opposed to this. And the other thing is that Ireland still haven't proved. I actually, this is getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. Still haven't proved the ability to put two great performances back to back in the same window. And the big worry, and like Hal Grimson didn't mince his words after the game in June, that they went to Luxembourg and were shite. Like, I mean, this awful 0-0 draw. And Hal Grimson was disgusted afterwards. And the fear is that game follows the cadence of this window, big home game against top tier opposition in Senegal, and you play well, you get a creditable draw, and then you go and you don't perform in the game you're meant to win away from home. That is a fear. I think it's probably good that they've had that experience so they can point to it to make sure it doesn't happen again. But as regards Hungary, I think, it's not exciting to say you take a draw at home to a team with whom you're competing for second spot, but you would take a draw at home to the team against whom you're competing for the second spot. Like success in this group, if we're being honest with ourselves, is if we go to Budapest on the final game with second spot still a live thing to play for. If we go to Budapest needing to win to get second spot and a draw not good enough, not being good enough there for second spot, honestly, the campaign is a qualified success based off where we've been. Like if Ireland were to beat Hungary this weekend, it would be their biggest victory since the win in Cardiff against Wales in 2017. Like that is almost 8 years. In each of our last 4 campaigns, I'm blending we, our, and Ireland here. I really shouldn't do that. Ireland have lost their opening 2 games of all of their last 4 campaigns. Isn't that right? I mean, like if you
Yeah,
include back-to-back Nations League campaigns under different managers, and then obviously Stephen Kenny's 2 major tournament qualification campaigns. So like the last time we won a first game of a campaign was arguably the worst performance of them all. It was away to Gibraltar when John
Gibraltar.
Delaney was still at the FAI. Like we haven't won an opening campaign game since John Delaney was still at the FAI, albeit. Well, he might have been CEO. I think he was executive vice president within about 20 minutes of full time. What an end to the year that was. 4 points from 6 would be good results. 6 would obviously be incredible. We'll come on to Hungary in the sense that have we actually got a bit lucky with the draw? Are we actually getting a good team, but coming toward the end of their cycle or on a slight dip? I'm not convinced, but we have to live in hope with that regard. But if you're being honest, look, 4 points from 6 in this window will be pretty good.
Here's my summation of that is you referenced, heading into that last game against Hungary. This is it, lads. We need to get ourselves to a point where heading into that last game against Hungary, a 1-1 draw, our speciality, gets us through. And
Hal
that's
Grimson hasn't had many draws at all.
I would say you either win or you lose.
we'll revert back to type fairly quickly.
Sorry,
Don't worry.
if we ended up in a scenario where we nearly needed only to draw in Budapest in the final game, unbelievable. Because in
Yes.
that scenario, I think we would probably have taken something off Portugal, or else Hungary would have been shocked by some other team in the group.
My route there is that we draw with them at home and that we try to win by more than they do against Armenia and lose by less than they do against Portugal, and that puts us in that
But
situation.
It's the glory game,
here's the
folks.
question, right? We're talking about getting ahead of ourselves. Let's just deal with the match that's actually ahead of us. So not ideal that I'll be chatting to a Hungarian spy after we actually finish recording this, but that's just say la vie. But Gav, you actually have spoken to someone who has a bit more insight into where like Hungary are at. So
Yeah, so just a journalist friend of mine who's really good at covering Hungarian football, obviously. So that's why I said, like, is there a sense that this team, like Marco Rossi, the Italian, has been in charge of this team for years and years. I can't actually remember the exact start date. It could be 2016. Like, he's had an abnormally long reign, and he's kind of like there's a certain kind of Jack Charlton element to him in Hungarian football, in the sense that he's been there for so long. He's obviously an external manager. He's become a Hungarian citizen, and he's brought them to back-to-back European championships. Like he's been a massive success there. But I actually saw them. I remember seeing them against Scotland at the Euros. Having like they weren't that impressive against us in Dublin, to be honest, in that 2-1 defeat. And they beat Scotland thanks to a 99th minute goal. But that Scotland team was poor, and Hungary finished third in their group, but actually didn't get into the last 16, which is a bit of a disappointment. And they've had some pretty poor results this year, beaten easily by I think it was Sweden, even like won away to Azerbaijan in the summer, but only by 2 goals to 1. Like it was a bit of a challenge for them. They still play. We expect them to continue to play that back three, and if they have a philosophy or a style of play, it's where's Dominic Szoboszlai and give him the ball. I mean, they're a classic international team in that regard. Obviously, Robbie Keane has a load of players now in this team. So Barnabas Varga, who had an awful injury, you might remember, against Scotland at the Euros, he's going to lead the line now, and he's got a good goal scoring record of 1-3. But like we kind of know the story in Hungarian football now with how much money Viktor Orban has pumped into the sport there, because A, he loves it, and B, he also obviously sees its soft and frankly hard power potential. So now we're getting this generation of more technical players through the Hungarian academy system. And Rossi's been the manager for all of this. So back when they had like big Adam Shalai up front, now they've got a niftier forward in the aforementioned Varga. And the same is in midfield. Like they're now producing more technical, higher level players. I know he's born in Serbia, I think, but Milos Kerkez now at Liverpool is an obvious example. So what's interesting is that the manager has remained in charge, but the quality of the player and the profile of player available to him has changed quite significantly in that time. So there is a sense that he's obviously had to blood and play these more technical players, which has actually left them a little bit open on the counter-attack in recent games. So Ireland may have counter-attacking opportunities. So that's why I'm not at all surprised that Johnny Kenny's been called up in place of Troy Parrott because he's got pace to run in behind and stretch in behind. Adam Ida's had a rough enough time for Celtic. I think he's going to play an important role in this window and potentially against Hungary on Saturday night. So the hope is that Hungary, as they kind of evolve from being one team to another, thanks to their enormous investment in youth production, that they're kind of we catch them between two stools and we can catch them on the counter attack. Is there a sense that the manager has stayed too long? It is possible. Like it is possible that we get so swears like in the last World Cup qualifying group, we got a Serbia team suddenly on the up under a new manager. Are we getting a Hungary team on the slide under a long serving manager? That's kind of intangible enough analysis, but it is possible. And the other things to look out for is that their long-serving goalkeeper Peter Gulashi, once of Liverpool, but obviously has made a name for himself. You'll have seen him in the Champions League for RB Leipzig. He retired. Um, he actually spoke out against repressive laws against the LGBTQ plus community in Hungary, for which he earned the ire of some of Hungary's more patriotic supporters.
Hmm.
He then made a couple of mistakes in goals, so he eventually was just like he was dropped for I can't pronounce his name. It's like Dibuz, I think it's Dibuz, who's the Ferencváros goalkeeper. So Gulashi is actually retired. He retired in May, so they have a new goalkeeper, and Dibuz has not been in amazing form. He's been making mistakes for Ferencváros, and he made a bad mistake. I think it was against Sweden for Hungary. So dodgy, potentially out of form goalkeeper there, a back three that outside of Willie Orban don't have many outstanding out and out defenders who are no longer as protected by the midfield as they once were. Um, there's maybe hope for us there.
Now, as you're talking there, I'm thinking, what is the Hungarian version of the Harry Ramsden challenge? And is there any link here between the Ireland qualification campaign for Euro 96 after Jack Charlton was coming to an end? That's what I'm thinking.
I mean that's our hope. I mean, is it some kind of goulash? Is there some kind of Harry Ramsden? Is there some kind of goulash challenge that we'll be hearing the lads in Budapest sitting down to in
But the way
in
you
November?
But the way you've laid it out there, Gavin, even for saying, but like this is going back to the very start. You said about what will make you believe or what Ireland would have to do. That's why I said to win this, because if you can actually, if there are vulnerabilities in a team who are coming to Dublin, and this is an Ireland team that is supposedly now beginning to mature, has a few more leaders, and has learned some of the lessons of the past. That's what I was saying at the very start. That's why like a win would give you that belief that like this isn't Portugal coming where you would be like if you gave us a draw you take it. Do you know what I mean? It's a game like that's why I don't understand. Regardless of some of the problems that Ireland have had before, like it's not as if it's one of the best teams in the world who are coming to Dublin.
You don't need to be one of the best teams in the world to be a favourite against Ireland, David. Like you need to be, tier two will comfortably make you a favourite in a game against Ireland. And listen, like Gav,
But it's not required
absolutely.
to just have total attitude of well, do you know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to struggle. I'm struggling with.
Listen, I genuinely just feel this is a conversation we've already had. Like we had exactly this conversation the last time that we build ourselves up before we realize how limited we are, and then we're like, oh Jesus, we're limited, aren't we? Really? There's a
No, it's
surprise.
not. No, maybe I haven't explained my point well enough. What I'm saying is, if we started again, go back. Well, what would make you believe Ireland can qualify? That's what I'm saying is actually winning the game, and the basis that it is actually different from the past. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would not see it as a mad surprise if Ireland struggled to just get a draw in terms of even Hungary coming here and being like, we're limited. We don't need to push this very early. This is an away game. We can keep Ireland at arm's length. We can
Mm.
play or whatever. Like that would be like really par for the course. And then I would actually expect Ireland to struggle in the next game, partly because of what Gava said, but because of in terms of the struggles that Ireland have had in those back-to-back games. That's what I'm saying about in this fourth game. Not that you have to go all out to do it, but actually getting that momentum very, very early because of the nature of how the campaign is as well. I think for all the talk, we were out there today and you're listening to different players and then you're speaking to people over the last little while about what's coming into this camp, and it is very, very positive about well where they're actually at as a squad. But I still think that's where you actually now have to go and have a result and go and deliver something to make you back that up. That's do you know what I mean? That's why I'm saying that. That's why I do feel it is different. If it was a couple of years ago, then yeah, we'd be like, well, it's not expected, but not now. I'm like, well, if this team has progressed and if these group of players are of a caliber where you can actually expect to have a reasonable, not confidence, but a reasonable expectation of at least being competitive. You win a game like this at home in the very first game of a campaign.
Yeah, like you, yeah, I still think a draw shows that there's progression and that we have a chance. I think if we win, all of a sudden anything less than second is a disaster. Like if geez, we would be in an absolutely outstanding position if we were to win it. Um, like you know, I desperately want to buy into Gav's narrative and find hope in the things that he says. Like as a team, hopefully there's a staleness kicking in and hopefully they're aging. You still look and you see Kirkes at whatever 21, Sabazlai at 24. The young fella from Wolfsburg that I believe is very good. I think he's still a teenager. There's the main men are very, very much still boasting youthful exuberance and coming into their prime years. Like we don't have anybody, Evan Ferguson included, who's in that category. Certainly the Kirkes
Mm.
Zabazlai category. Um, yeah, look, I think you'd have to stupid sentence, boring sentence, but it is definitely more hope than expectation in terms of us certainly getting a win from this. I would be stunned if we won the game.
I'm more hope than expectation like you as well, Shane. I think look at what Ireland have done under Hallgrimsson so far. What would you point to that would give you confidence going into this game? I think the setup when we have the ball means we're not as likely to be ripped open on the counter attack as we previously were. I think that's definitely I mean, we shouldn't be conceding as many goals or chances, to be quite honest. That's a very boring, dull thing for me to say, but I think that would give you a little bit of confidence. Can Ireland get better on set pieces without Robbie Brady? It's gonna be hard. I've made probably
Mm.
Ryan Manning will be on set piece duty. Maybe that would give you a bit of hope. But what have we seen so far? Like the lingering. I still think they have to prove that they don't have a confidence issue. Like I mean, they did utterly collapse against England at Wembley in November in the second half after that Liam
Yeah.
Scales red card. Like they still have to prove that they don't have that in them, that they're not bearing the scars of all that went before because this is the first game of a campaign. Like this is a group of players that are used to losing that game. So to be able to overcome the mental hurdle of that even has yet to be proven. And the Bulgaria games were good coming from behind to win those games. That was a step forward, but it's not enough of a step forward. And like even the Senegal was good in patches, and then the Luxembourg game was like really poor. Like again, you can't say that we're seeing an Ireland team on a constant upward trajectory. I admire a lot of the kind of organizational and almost especially the clarity with which Ireland play now, thanks to what Hal Grimson has brought to it. But is it enough to beat a Hungary team that won't underestimate Ireland? I mean, that is an issue. Like Marco Rossi has said that this is arguably a bigger game for Hungary than the game against Portugal is for them 3 days later. And also we beat them last June in Dublin. Like, I mean, unfortunately, they're not going to underestimate us. The way they play, like Kirkes at left wing back, that'll accentuate his attacking qualities and somewhat mitigate against his defensive frailties. And ultimately, in Dominic Szoboszlai, they have arguably the best player across the first three match weeks of the Premier League. Like there haven't been many players who've actually outperformed him, I don't think. So it's still more of a hope than expectation exercise for me, to be honest.